Yeah.
Hi, folks. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Welcome, everyone. People are flooding in. We hope you're looking forward to this on a very blustery, windy day. Well, it is in the UK anyway. I know we have overseas viewers.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just give it a few more seconds to let people in. Afternoon all. We'll just give it a couple more seconds. Right, okay. Well, a warm welcome to this latest ambitious Naturetrek virtual tour, being live from Aguas Calientes in Peru, which is the gateway to the famous ruins of Machu Picchu. And fingers crossed, we'll be giving you a glimpse of the ruins a bit later on. I'm Andy Tucker, Naturetrek's General Manager. I'm sat talking to you just from outside Basingstoke in North Hampshire this morning. 13 miles down the road, I'm joined by my colleague Sarah Frost, Naturetrek's Marketing Manager, a familiar face if you've joined us for our online roadshow presentation evenings of virtual tours over the past few weeks and months. And live from Peru, hopefully, Jose Antonio Padilla, my old friend and Naturetrek tour leader, is joining us from the gardens of the Pueblo Hotel, the Incaterra Pueblo Hotel, just below Machu Picchu. This is a hotel that Naturetrek groups have been staying at since, I think, 2001. Either people walking the Inca Trail with us or taking the bus or the train to Aguas Calientes. It's one of my favorite hotels in the world. I'm not sure if that's skewed by the experience of having 4 nights under canvas on the Inca Trail, toiling with sweat, with no hot water showers, and then to finally see the ruins of Machu Picchu and to sink into those luxurious sheets and mattresses of the Pueblo Hotel, surrounded by tropical gardens and the most sumptuous buffets. I don't know, but I always tell people it's one of my favorite hotels anywhere. I actually haven't been there since 2002, and that was a tour I co-led with Jose Antonio. Looking at the list of names joining us today, I can see that quite a few of you have been to Peru with Naturetrek and stayed in this hotel. So I hope this brings back some memories for you. If you have been to Machu Picchu, either with Naturetrek or under your own steam, just put a note in the comments and let us know what year you travelled and maybe 1 or 2 memories you have. We're doing these virtual tours for 3 main reasons. One, to give us some entertainment. It's like October, November out here, as Sarah just said. It's blowing a gale here in Hampshire, not very pleasant at all. And while we're still very much restricted in terms of travel, it's nice to get somewhere, at least virtually, and see some new bird life. And we're also doing this, hopefully, to generate some income and employment for our guides. And I would like to say a huge thank you to those of you who have joined our virtual tour so far. Your positive comments have meant the world to us, and the money you've left in terms of tips and donations has been enormously appreciated, both by us in the Naturetrek office and more importantly by our local guides around the world. Whether you've joined us in Costa Rica or Ushuaia in Argentina, or in Spain or Ecuador, and today for the first time Peru, your comments and donations are massively appreciated. Today is an ambitious effort because we're struggling a little bit with bandwidth, but it's a nice clear morning over in Peru. I'll take a moment later on to show you on Google Maps exactly where we are. But I would just like to hand straight over to Jose Antonio. I know he's got a blue-grey tanager by the look of it there in the field of view. So Jose, buenos dias to you. Let's hand over. You can introduce yourself.
Hi, Andy. Hello, Sarah. Hello, everybody. Nice to be here again, even though it's virtual. It's no, present, but it's also good to be back in the field, no? Thank you very much, Andy, for a great introduction. Thank you very much as well, Sarah, for the invitation. So everybody, hi again. So for the people who don't know me, my name is Jose Antonio. I'm from Lima, Peru, and I've been living in Cusco, Peru for more than 15 years now. I've been working for Naturetrek since 2011, more or less, so it's been about 9 years now. And I've been leading, I'm the main leader for all the tours in Peru and Bolivia, no? For only 2-3 years, I used to be leading also some of the tours in Brazil, but now I'm back more, in my country, and I do also some tours for Bolivia, the highlands and the lowlands. So I am here in Inkaterra Pueblo Hotel. This is a fantastic place, which is about 100 kilometers in Cusco, which is about 70 miles, no, away from Cusco. I am a little bit northwest of Cusco, and to get here yesterday, I have to take a bus from Cusco to a nice town in the Sacred Valley of the Incas called Ollantaytambo, where I have to take a train, to get here. So I am about 3.5 in Cusco City, 3.5 hours, more or less. Could take up 4 hours. And I'm hitting a fantastic area. Okay, let me tell you something about this place. First of all, I am on the on the eastern slope of the Andes. Here in Peru is the only one part of the Andes where we do have cloud forests. I am about 2,400 meters in elevation, which is about 5,000 feet. I would say a little bit more, I guess, 7,000 feet. And I am in this spectacular site, which is not any other hotel. This is, to me, the best hotel we have in this little place, which is called Incaterra Pueblo. All right. So Incaterra is located in this small town of Aguas Calientes, which is one step before we actually get to see Machu Picchu. Incaterra is in the middle of the trees and is hiding in the middle of the trees, and in the middle of the forest here, and the owner, Peruvian owner, owns about 5 hectares or 12 acres of very nice, pure and pristine cloud forest. Within this property, they also have about 83 little casitas, they call it, which is about, which are like cottages, like you will call cottages. Each of them are very beautiful, all of them are nice. One type of casitas are even more beautiful than others. So they have all these different types of casitas. And here's what I am, in the middle of this very bad situation, which is the pandemic. They would come here and this virtual tour with you guys, hopefully for the people who have been here before. And this place, as you remember, is fantastic. It has this fantastic garden where we can get to see some tanagers, that are coming to the feeders, and also some hummingbird feeders that are around this place. Incaterra Pueblo Hotel also have a nice rescue center for spectacled bears, which is in the other side of the property, and the highest collection of native orchids, in the world. Here they have about 372 species of orchids, right, that can be seen around as we touring in this place. Normally when we do the tours, we come here at the end of the tour in southern Peru, which is at the end of the Inca Trail, or at the end of the whole tour really, where we spend one night, and then we do a little bit of birding, and the next morning we go back to Cusco, to say goodbye to Peru. So, okay, so this is very much me and the place where I am located now. Let me switch my camera to the feeder around. The birds have been coming. Normally, what we can see here is a put some bananas so the tanagers can go down to eat it, and also some hummingbird feeders that we have on the other camera. So far, only blue-gray tanager have been coming, but because we've been moving around, they are back in the trees. Just let's give it a few more minutes, and the birds are going to start coming, and also the hummingbirds. Some of the hummingbird species we've been seeing here have been chestnut-breasted coronet, and here on the camera where it says Shayla, you can see some euphonias, thick-bill euphonia coming, and all that. So Incaterra Pueblo Hotel is more than a hotel. So, it's it was built to be like a model of ecotourism, conservation, and protection. No? That's why we like to stay here. This is the place where we always come. And here I can hear the blue-gray tanagers already coming. Let's just have a little bit of patience because, you know, like other places here, the birds will take the time, you know, to calm down, you know. So as I said, from here we start our journey to Machu Picchu from this place. We have on one of the feeders down there, we have chestnut-breasted coronet coming.
Can you switch to the Hummingbird feeder, please, Jose Antonio, so we can get a better view?
Having
Or
some
Sarah.
water. Can we switch? Sorry.
Wow, it's a lovely
You can
view.
see maybe. Okay. There you go. It's a chestnut-breasted coronet. And oh, here's a silvery tanager coming to this feeder here. I know you can guys see. There you go. It's feeding the banana at the moment. Hello, good morning. Hi, hello guys. There is a tanager there.
Switch the camera, please, to the banana.
There you go. There you go. A silvery tanager. Can you see? Oh, it's gone. Hold on one moment, please. Hello, good morning. Good morning, good morning. How are you, sir? So as you can see, there are some tourists coming and staying in this place finally. No, the situation is opening up. So, and the tourists have been walking through the feeders, so the birds are back in the trees. And so,
for those of you who have joined us on some of the other virtual tours, Ecuador, for example, just the feeders were packed full of birds from the word go. We are just going to be a little bit patient today because the birds are not so habituated here in the gardens of the Pueblo Hotel, mainly because it's been empty for the last few months. So Jose has enlisted a local helper to get some food out over the past few days, but the birds are just a touch skittish at the moment. Just to lay out what we hope to do today, like I said in the intro, it's a bit ambitious what we want to do, but we'll spend about 45 minutes, I hope, in the hotel gardens, seeing what birds appear. And then I've asked Jose Antonio to take a walking tour with us through Aguas Calientes to where you board the buses up to Machu Picchu. And at that point, I expect the bandwidth to drop right away. So for those of you that would like to stay on, I'll show you some pictures that we've taken in past years of groups on the Inca Trail and some of the birds we see along the Inca Trail. And then fingers crossed, Jose Antonio will message me when he reaches Machu Picchu after his bus ride up. And we can rejoin him, I hope, for some views of the ruins later on. That's the plan anyway.
yeah, Andy, yes. I mean, the weather is good so far here because we are down in the valley, so it's a little bit dark, of course. But I can see way up in the top of the mountains, the sun is hitting. So that is where Machu Picchu is located, right? Machu Picchu is located 25 minutes up a bus ride in the top of a mountain. And that is where it should be good in terms of weather, no? So there are some, I mean, human activity at the moment here. There's some tourists walking. And just give it a second, you guys. I mean, the tourists are walking, I guess, to have breakfasts. Well, and this is like in the middle of the property. So let's wait a few more minutes until all these people's gone, and then see how there's Tasky Green Oropendula calling somewhere up in the distance. And I've been also hearing a Indian cock of the rock that visit this place sometimes. There you go. Here we have some.
This is the common hummingbird in the gardens of the Pueblo Hotel, the chestnut-breasted coronet, just flying off there.
gotten it so far.
Jose, a question from Carolyn,
Sí.
just on the name of Aguas Calientes. I don't think it's the actual historical name of the town, is it? It's more of a modern name, but just tell people why it's called Aguas Calientes and what that means in English.
Casi. Andy?
Yep.
Sorry, can you say the question again?
Yeah, Carolyn Killen has put a question in the chat, just asking about the name of the village, Aguas Calientes. And as far as I know, that's not the original name of the village, is it? Just tell people a bit about Aguas Calientes, what the name means in English.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Aguas Calientes mean hot springs, right? And this is, in fact, an old name because nowadays it's called Machu Picchu Pueblo. Aguas Calientes, go ahead, please. Mean hot springs, as I said, because just not far from the actually city, from this actually town, there is some hot springs, no, that can be visited, no, by some people when they can. Hold on, I think I can.
Just bear with us, please, folks. We're just having a few issues with bandwidth, which of course none of us can control. So we'll be a little bit frustrated at times. Oh, there's a cock of the rock by the look of it. Can we get the camera switch, Sarah?
There.
Yeah, that's switched.
Unfortunately, the cock of the rock has appeared just when Jose's bandwidth has gone low. That's a shame. Let's hope it sticks around. There, folks.
Great.
Can you see cock of the rock? There you go. There is oops, gone. Sí, yo lo conseguí poner Andy?
Yeah.
Did you get the cock of the rock?
Yeah, we got a glimpse of it. Carry on trying to find it, Jose.
Yes, as I was saying, Andean cock of the rock is a common visitor to the gardens of Inkaterra Hotel. Speaking with Marco here, who is the head of the eco center of this place and is a resident guide here. He said that he can see the cock of the rock almost every day now, no, at the grounds here at the hotel. So yeah, so sorry to interrupt my explanation, but that is why, I mean, that is why this place is known as Aguas Calientes, all right? But nowadays, as I said, it's only called Machu Picchu Pueblo. They changed the name, but we still remember, I will still call it Aguas Calientes, right? Hot springs. Unfortunately, in the tours we do with Naturetrek, we don't have time to go and visit the hot springs. We always birding, we're always looking at orchids and things like that. But anyway, so.
Just while Jose's bandwidth just takes a dip there, just a quick word on the cock of the rock. It's one of those emblematic species of the Andes, really. So any of our tours in, well, Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, Colombia, up through into Venezuela, that will be one of the highlights of a birding tour in the Andes, a bird emblematic of the cloud forests. For those of you unfamiliar with it, I know we just got a glimpse there. I hope most of you managed to see it, and hopefully it will come back. But it's a jackdaw-sized, fruit-eating bird with the most raucous display at dawn, where in the breeding season, the males will gather around and perform in front of the attendant females in a lek.
Yeah, Marco is checking if the cock of the rock is still around, so he will let me know if it's around.
Do you get the cock of the rock at certain altitudes, Jose or Andy? And what altitude are we at here?
Jose's about 7,000 feet.
Yeah,
at the
Coco de
moment.
Rock, yes. Yeah, Coco de Rock is a bird only found in the cloud forest. No, in Peru, this species we have, which is the Andean Coco de Rock, is found in the cloud forest. That means up to more or less 2,600 meters in elevation, which is about 8,000 feet, right? That's it. And you start seeing this bird in an elevation of about 600 meters, which is about 2,000 feet. No, it's only in that very small, thin line of cloud forest that we have in the, as I was saying, in these tours we do here in southern eastern Peru, we get to places like Coco de Rock Lodge, which is in Manu, or here in Inkaterra Pueblo, where we get to see these birds in very good sight, and also in sometimes we get to see this bird lecking. That means displaying for the females, right? So that is basically, we are now in Coco de Rock country, no? By coming to this sort of habitat, exactly. The birds are up there, guys. I mean, as I said, there was a little bit of activity, a human activity, and the people going, walking through, and it's finally settled. So let's wait a few more minutes until we get to see the birds coming down. Yeah, I don't know if there is another question about.
What nationality are the tourists at the hotel, Jose?
I believe they are Americans. I met some of them in the morning when I was having breakfast. They sound like American to me, no?
Yeah.
Very American accent. So, yeah. There is another. I don't know if you get to see, but Shayla, my partner here, is walking with another camera through the grounds of the hotel, and then you can get to see, how beautiful this place is, and it's all green and full vegetation as well. And we're waiting for the birds to come down. So yeah, basically Americans, Andy.
Tell us about some of the birds you can hear up above, Jose. What birds are around at the moment?
Sure. As I said, there was this Andean Coco de Rock that was quite active and was calling quite a lot. And then I also heard dusky green oropendulas, and there was a golden olive woodpecker too, but always up, and they almost never come down to the feeder, unfortunately. And in terms of tanagers, there was some blue-gray tanager, silvery tanager that was also hearing, and yep, and thick Biliphonia, that was calling quite a lot. There was also golden ground flycatcher, always up in the trees. Let's see, I think I can show you something here. Hold on a second. There is in the other feeder where we got some activity at the moment. There we go. Here. Okay, there we go. For example, blue-gray tanager is there. Can you see it?
Yeah.
There we go. And he was fighting with the, there is a thick Biliphonia coming too. There we go. It's amazing how they like the bananas here. It's the introduced fish in South America. Banana have been spread all over. Sí, lo tengo. Here is another blue-gray. Here is a better view of Biliphonia. We have Bilifonias. But thick bill is the one that have yellow in the throat all the way up to the beak, no? That is what we can see now. So Yes, thick Pileophonia and blue-gray tanager. Up here we have the same. Thick Pileophonia, blue-gray tanager coming. While we were setting up all the equipment and the cameras and all that, there was also a golden nape tanager that came down to the feeder. No, and now we have a nice action here, nice activity on this particular feeder here that I have. Well, so the current situation in Peru for the pandemic is that we are getting the vaccine in Peru. Now they are in the people between the 60 and 70 years. Is that they're getting the vaccine, and in August, yes, in August is where people from 40 to 50 will start getting the vaccine too. So I guess for September, things will be better all over the world. No? So the vaccination process in Peru is still a little bit slow, but we are getting the vaccine, which is very nice. No? So very slowly, the country is opening up for visitors. As I said, I met a bunch of American tourists this morning here at the hotel. And when I walking in Cusco City, I get to see a lot of tourists. Well, some of them and most of them from South America, no? But sometimes we also get to see some American, especially, no? I think American with the vaccination process too. Okay.
Yeah, I think the travel restrictions. Can we go back to the hummingbird feeder, please?
What mama?
It's a nice coronet on there, just landed. Chestnut-breasted coronet. The focus isn't brilliant, folks. That's not because Jose is out of focus, though. It's just the bandwidth doesn't allow for the screen resolution, unfortunately. So you'd have to bear with us on that. But yeah, I was about to say travel restrictions for Americans. I noticed a few of you joining from across the pond today. Your travel restrictions are less strict than ours in the UK, where pretty much all long-haul travel is out of the question at the moment. Nice blue-grey tanager there, coming down to the bananas. So yeah, I was just looking on jealously a week or two ago when we did our virtual tour along the Pipeline Road in America, and they had some American guests staying there. But unfortunately, it's out of the question for us in the UK at the moment. So a few birds around the hummingbird feeder on the branches above the feeder. Can you see the hummingbird feeder from where you are, Jose? What are those birds above the feeder? Just blue-grey tanagers?
Blue-grey tanager, and there is also silvery tanager that I have on my camera now. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see that. I've got a question about that
tanager.
because I always knew this bird as silver-backed tanager, but you're calling it silvery. Has the name changed, or are both names valid?
It have changed. Called silvery tanager.
Silvery tanager. Used to be silver-backed, now silvery.
The English name. Yeah. It has a lovely brownish throat, as you can see. And yep, anyway, so and that is the silvery tanager, and the rest are blue-gray tanager. Yes. So yep, that coming more. I'm gonna leave it here. There was a question, I think, Andy, about the mammals around here. Well, Machu Picchu, as you can imagine, is, well, now one of the new 7 wonders of the world. So it's a very visited place in South America. In fact, they said that together with the Iguazu Falls is the 2 most visited place in South America. So that saying, so there is a lot of, please go ahead. There is a lot of human activity here, a lot of people walking and doing that. So animals tend to be elusive here if we talk about natural. However, this place, this beautiful hotel, holds a nice rescue center for. There is a saffron crown tanager, guys. This lovely hotel has a nice rescue center for a spectacle bear. Look at that, Andy. Can you see Sarah, Andy? Saffron crown tanagers coming.
Yeah.
See there. Yeah, they are going in, walking and eating. There you go, beautiful. And so there is a possibility to go and visit as well. No, the rescue center. There is a bronze Inca, guys, on the camera with the Hummingbird feeder. Let me see if I can put it again also on the scope. Oh. Yeah, there was a bronze Inca, but I think it's gone. Just wait. See? And yeah, basically that's very much in terms of mammal that I can offer, let's say, or this place can offer, no? Even though it's a fantastic cloud forest patch, no, that we have. Coming a green valley deer, and there is a bronze ink again on the feeder, friends. Hawks, there you go. What other question we have?
A couple of questions, Jose, on the birds. Are the birds we're seeing largely resident in Peru, or do you get migratory birds there?
Well, 85% of the species birds in Peru are resident. No, 25% of the birds we have in the country are migrants. No, we have boreal migrants and austral migrants. No, so at the moment, this is we're starting winter in Peru, so we have some winter visitors here, or summer in the north. But yeah, but these kind of habitats, Andy, like the cloud forest, holds most of the birds resident. No, only few species will come here briefly when it's time of migration. More of the migration species that we have in Peru come to the coast, or also they come to the lakes in the Andes. No, in this fantastic cloud forest full of trees, most of the birds we have are resident. Now, something interesting that I would like to share with all of you folks is that, for example, in Peru, if you've never been here and you are thinking Peru is a country like Colombia or Ecuador, it is in fact truth. However, in terms of habitats, right, Peru have three main habitats. No? The coast, the line coast that is on the western part of the country. Then we have the Andes in the middle of the country, and then we have the cloud forest and the Amazon rainforest on the eastern slope of the Andes, right? So if you go, for example, to also have cloud forests on the eastern and western, no, slope of the Andes, but that's not true in Peru. And you wonder why, being so close neighbor countries, why don't we have cloud forests also in the east and the western, slopes of the Andes? That is because obviously we have the Humboldt current. It's a very cold, current that have. Hold on a second. We have some activity in this other feeder here. There we go. Okay. There is a golden name tanager, Andy, on the feeder there. I don't know if you can see that. A golden name, chévere. See.
Yeah, we can see that just about. So we're struggling a little bit for bandwidth, unfortunately, but we did see a small blue bird there.
There.
There's the thick-billed euphonia again with it.
And there was also a pond manager there, and golden ape. Anyways, I was saying that because of the Humboldt current we have on the Pacific Ocean here, that doesn't develop so much condensation on the water, not on the ocean, on the sea, and therefore that doesn't really have. We don't really have a lot of condensation and clouds on the western slope. That means we only have a desert, very dry desert, which is the continuation of the Atacama Desert that comes from Chile and supposed to be the driest desert in the world. But then what happened with the Humboldt current? The Humboldt current goes up almost until, almost as far as the very northern part of the country of Peru, and it turns left and goes back down again. So it doesn't reach countries like Ecuador and Colombia. So Ecuador has the Nino current on the coast, which have much warmer waters, which creates a lot of condensation, and that is why they have also cloud forests on the western slope of the Andes, whereas Peru, we only have desert, which makes once again one of the most biodiversity countries in the world, because we have some desert birds on the coast, which are mixed with some little non-passing birds that are found, especially on the valleys, because we have 28 rivers coming down into the Pacific Ocean from the Andes on the western slopes, and each river will create a nice green valley along this desert and dry coast. So what I'm saying is we have the marine birds, which are in fact amazing because of the Humboldt current. Then we have the desert birds, and then we have these little valley, river birds on the coast of Peru, which make it really, really nice. And then we do have the Andean birds that I think everybody's very familiar with, or most of you anyways. A lot of hummingbirds in the Andes. And then we have on the eastern slopes, of course, the cloud forest. That is amazing for hummingbirds. As you know, hummingbirds have evolved from cloud forest habitats, right? And we do have also the Amazon rainforest, in the eastern slope, in the eastern part of the country, which make it obviously really amazing, in many ways. So there we go, back in the blue-gray tanagers again. So another interesting fact about this particular area where we are at the moment is that we hold few species of endemic birds that most of the time we get to see when I leading Naturetrek groups, and there will be Inca Ring, the Inca Ring, which is a Peruvian endemic. Unfortunately, live up in the ruins, up in the citadel of Machu Picchu. And we also have masked fruit eater. Masked fruit eater can be seen in the grounds of the hotel. It's not an easy bird, but we can see masked fruit eater, another Peruvian endemic. Inca Ring is also here, and a bunch of the birds, of course, especially hummingbirds. In terms of hummingbird species, we've been seeing mainly chestnut-breasted coronet, brown-sea Inca, and collar Inca or gold Inca, long-tailed sylph, button racket tail, sometimes the steelers, but yeah. Oh, hold on. But they are a little bit elusive this morning. Never mind, they are here. Yes, okay, Andy, excellent. Let's talk a little bit about Inca Ring. Inca Ring is, as I said, a Peruvian endemic. It lives in the bamboo, big bamboo patches, especially up close to the Machu Picchu citadel. It is a bird that is very loud in a way, and his voice can be easily recognized. As I said, they live in the bamboo forests, and the one up there in the top of the mountain. And when we go and while we're visiting the citadel, it's funny because we get to hear this bird, and obviously we get to get it, we get it out, and people enjoy the bird. There's a special saying here. I mean, local people were going to talk about Inca Ring, and when they are when they
Just
had that experience in my life before. Yeah, but that's what people said. Anyways,
it's amazing. Some of you in the
hold
chat
on
are
a
hooking
second.
up again several years after having travelled together. You're recognising each other's names. It's incredible to see that, and it's one of the things we've enjoyed really about running these virtual tours online over the past few months. It's been a sense of a wildlife travelling community. What's this hummingbird we've got on the feeder, Jose Antonio? Just flew away.
No, it wasn't a chestnut-breasted.
I didn't see his front.
Wasn't looking at that. Hold on. Marco, ahí había un colibrí, ¿lo viste? ¿Cuál era? De ahí no lo pudiste ver, ¿no? Okay. Well, I can hear now mitred parakeets are flying up in the sky. This is another endemic to the region. I wouldn't say endemic to Peru because it's also found in other countries, but it can be seen in this particular valley of Aguas Calientes. And by the way, as we're walking out of the hotel, we will see the river, the Urubamba River that runs, down into the Amazon basin. And sometimes in the Urubamba River, we get to see things like white-capped dipper and torrent ducks, fasciated tiger heron, and things like that, no? Hopefully. I can hear now and Coco the rocks. Sorry?
Yeah, I'll be touching on some of those species in the images that I show later on when you're taking the bus ride up. Shall we start to get you out along the walk through the town, Jose? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, yes. I want to show you, though, this orchid before we go. And then I walk out of the hotel. Is that okay for you guys?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. I will leave the thick euphonias on the feeder on the left. And yep, hold on a second. See. Well, we have, let's just count quickly the bird we've seen this morning. Blue-gray tanager, thick-bill euphonia, golden-nape tanager, saffron crown tanager. Oh, there is a little hummingbird that came to the feeder, chestnut-breasted coordinate. I was a put the racket tail. No, we have pond tanager, and well, I did see a blue-neck tanager too. Ne? Bronzy Inca on the feeder, and Indian cock of the rock as well. That is calling quite
Right, Jose, I think there's going to be a few keen people wanting to see the orchid, the special orchid you have up your sleeve. So let's go and see that.
Okay. Okay, vámonos. Marco, voy a empezar a caminar. Listo. Entonces, vamos a sacar este de aquí. Good. All right, I started walking through the grounds. No, la orquídea está por aquí, ¿no? Through the grounds. Here is the lovely feeder. Here's the camera, how we set it up. Anyways, so No, no, el grande. El grande está abajo, ¿no? Sí. It's a luxury place anyway, so. Anyways. Oh, it's a beautiful fountain here. Approaching to the orchid, everybody. This is the biggest orchid in the world. It's in the genus Pragmiperium, right? Hello. Buenos dias, buenos dias. And there you guys. Here. Look at this beauty, everybody.
Wow.
Two. No, this orchid is called lady sleeper in English, but the genus is Pragmiperium. No, as I say, it's the biggest orchid in the world, as far as I know. And this is one of the species of orchids, you know, the guys have here in the gardens. You see, it's amazing. And for example, these orchids are now blooming here in the grounds, but they also have a orchid garden, you know, which is a little bit inside the property that we can visit, you know, when we come here during the tours. But amazing, when I was walking yesterday inside the hotel, I saw these two fantastic Pragmiperiums here, everybody. All right, excellent.
Great, Jose, thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah, fantastic. So I'm going to leave Marco my scope. I'm going saluda Marco. Gracias, Marco. That was Marco. Marco, te dejo mi telescopio. Listo. Y yo regreso, pues. Hi, Sheila coming. Say hello, Sheila. Yeah. Di hola, di hola.
Hi, Sheila.
Yeah, Sheila is going to put the other tripods away. While I'm going to be walking here, waiting for her, I'm going to show you, for example, look at this nice angel's trumpet here, no? And it's a lovely walkway coming down into the receptionist area or reception area. Here is a lovely heliconia flower, which is not open yet, but it will be very soon. Heliconia is a plant which is native to the neotropics, right? Here are some fuchsias. Fuchsias here. Here it says, it is possible to enter these grounds to stay elsewhere. Andy, you want to answer? Do you want to answer that question?
Well, this is, yeah, thanks, Des Lang, for your question. Is it possible to enter these grounds if staying elsewhere? Well, I think the hotel would say if you stayed there, but normally a quiet word with the reception and a pair of binoculars around your neck will allow you to have a quiet walk, a quite unobtrusive walk around the gardens. And bear in mind, most of the people staying at the hotel are doing a day trip to Machu Picchu. So once the morning breakfast rush is over, the grounds are fairly empty from about 9, 10 o'clock through to 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's right.
Tony Fisher, is that orchid related to the European lady's slipper? I'm no botanist. I'm not qualified to say, Tony, but I can look into that for you and come back to you.
A few of you were saying that you have to go now and leaving lovely kind comments saying how much you've enjoyed it. We hope that you can stay on, but for those of you who do need to go, we'll pop a link to leave a donation or tip if you'd like to. Of course, these tours are free to join, but it's so appreciated if you can just donate a little something that we can split with Jose Antonio for him to support his family and give to his guides. I will follow this up in an email as well. I will provide a link in an email,
Okay.
just in case you can't quite tear yourself away yet.
Yeah. Okay. I'm walking out of the hotel at the moment here, and in a few seconds, we will see the train station actually, which is next to the hotel. And also we will
Jose, you're going to need to switch to your network provider now and come off the hotel Wi-Fi. Do bear with us, folks. This is a step outside all of our comfort zones doing something like this. So please just bear with us with the bandwidth and get Jose back again. The plan is to take just a gentle stroll through Aguas Calientes. I'm used to this village being just bustling with literally hundreds of tourists. And when we did a trial walk with Jose 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was really strange to see it. It's like a ghost town. Very few people around. And I'm just hoping that Jose will come back and be able to give us a flavour of what the village is like as he walks up towards the area where you board the buses up to the ruins themselves. Just lost him momentarily. Thank you for your supportive comments. Valerie Mulder, I like your comment. You've only sent it to the panelists, not everybody else. So I'll quickly read it out while we're waiting for Jose Antonio. Valerie was there on an archaeology trip, and we all wandered into the gardens and saw wonderful birds, and no one minded. I spent the whole trip making a list of birds I'd seen for the leader. There were no other birders on the trip besides my partner and myself. And actually finding and identifying one's own birds was a lot of fun. Such a wonderful place. Being virtually there watching feeders is a real treat, never mind the bandwidth. Thank you, Valerie. Really appreciate your comments. Jose's coming back. Jose, are you back with us? So I've got a view looking down the Urubamba Valley from Jose's camera. You see the steep sided valley there, just waiting for him to come back on audio.
Yeah, Andy, sorry, I lost connection for a second, but I'm back again.
Great,
So,
okay.
yes, it is a part of the Inkaterra Pueblo Hotel as well. They have a nice restaurant down here by the train rail, as you can see. And, well, let's keep walking, guys. Here is the Urubamba River. You can see down there, and hopefully, we will. Here is a little dog. Hi, doggy. Not many tourists. Normally it's full of tourists, but not many tourists at the moment here.
I was just saying that, Jose,
anyway,
to the people when you were offline, when you and I led that tour together back in 2001. Well, neither of us had any grey hairs back then. It seems a long time ago now, but how could we have possibly thought 19 years ahead we'd be running this virtual tour together in the midst of a pandemic? It really is crazy at the moment.
You all remember this little plant here? It also grows a lot in Peru. It's poinsettia, Christmas tree, as you call it. Yeah, Andy, look at this. Only workers, mainly workers, not many tourists here. People picking up all the garbage. And well, here is on the left, the train station, everybody. couple of watchmen. There's a nice Andean lady coming towards me. Everybody wearing, you know, the mascarillas, we call it, the mask, no, the facial mask or barbijo. Here is the train, for instance, guys. Look at this. No, one of the two train companies we have in here. One is Peru Rail, and this is the Inca Rail. No? Okay, so we are also walking towards the entrance of the train station and the bus stop, where I will finally get into the bus and we'll go up to Machu Picchu. By the way, Machu Picchu, hold on a second. Let me just wait a little until it clears up. And then I will show you more or less where Machu Picchu is located, everybody. And I said, we're walking in this town, which is one step before we get to Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu, if you look left, you will see a mountain there. Well, Machu Picchu is way in the top of the mountain, right? And then that's where we're going. So here's the train, closer to me now. The train from here to Ollantaytambo, which is where you're going, is about 1 hour and a half, so 1 hour 45 minutes. There you go. No, sometimes the train takes a little bit longer time because there is a crossing of trains on the way, so we have to stop and then look. This is the market, which unfortunately most of the little shops are still closed. No, but in non-pandemic times, these are all open since very early in the morning. No, it's a lovely view of this town.
This is an amazing walking tour, Jose. Is it possible for you to turn your phone around sideways just so it might give us a bit more of a full screen, if it's not too difficult for you to carry it like that? Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Oh, no, you're welcome. Estaban preguntando sobre qué.
Aguas Calientes, diles que es el camino a Aguas Calientes.
Ah, yeah. Look, this is a small stream. It's not the Urubamba River. This is a small stream. But if you keep going upstream, in about 10 minutes or so, we get the hot springs, no? Or Aguas Calientes, the reason why this town used to be known like that, no? Here we go, look at the nice bridges here.
Jose, my memory of the train station, and indeed Steve Pilkington's commented on this as well. In fact, Steve, you were with us in 2002. Nice to see you on the tour. His memory and my memory is actually disembarking from the train and walking along the train track itself to the hotel. But it looks like health and safety have been involved there. And now the pathway is actually off the side of the railway tracks.
Well, there is still a walkway by the train rail, but I have chosen a different way. That's why. I'm going to show you once we get closer to the bus. The walk you were talking about, probably. Yeah. So at this point, hold on a second, let's go down. Oh, it's a lovely morning, guys. So no rain. Remember that we are in cloud forest, right? Cloud forests usually have a lot of rainy days, no? Now we have already started the rainy season. I started officially in April, right? And so that's why it's a little bit dry. But you never know. I mean, the weather here is always unpredictable, né? That's why I'm very happy that today we're having a lovely weather. You can see blue sky up there. And that is where Machu Picchu is located, right? And we are going up to the top of that mountain that I pointed, right? And here is to the right, hold on, there's a big bushy tree covering the bus. There you go, look, that is the bus I taking to go up to the ruins, no, to the citadel. I don't like calling it ruins really because it's not ruin. Now look at this. Not that many people, as you can see. Probably, Andy, this is the walk you were talking about, no? Here is the train rail, no, here. And on the left, no, there is obviously a little path you can take next to the rail in order to get to the hotel, no? That's probably what
Right, yeah.
the client was talking about. As I said, look at that big truck or whatever that is. Oh, hold on. They're gonna go.
Be careful, Jose.
Yeah, watch out.
Yes. Yes, thank you guys.
Just to
So-
Pauline Chapman, you're asking how long we're going to be on for, so you get an approval for an extended lunch break. If any of you are in the same boat as Pauline, we could be on until 3 o'clock and gone. It depends how quickly Jose's bus goes up. But we will make the recording available for those of you that are on. So if you have to dash off, but don't want to miss it, Sarah will send you the recording later on today.
Okay, Andy. I am in front of the bus. This is the bus going up to Machu Picchu. The thing here is, no, I don't know if you remember, but they need to wait for the bus to be at least half full. No, when that happens, no, the bus is going to start going. So I see the bus is a little bit empty, meaning that it may take a little bit longer time than I expected. So I'm gonna leave you guys here now, and hopefully we'll see you in half an hour. That's what I want, but it may be a little bit longer. All right. So Shayla going to ask if it's going to leave now or how much longer it's gonna wait. And then I'll see you again when I get up there, no, at the entrance of this beautiful and one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Look at this fantastic valley, and that's up there. You see the blue sky? That's what Machu Picchu is going to be. So anyway, folks, if you hear, is that okay?
Jose, just stay on a few minutes while you go into the bus, and we'll just see what precautions you take there. It's quite interesting to see. And when the bus gets underway, the connection will drop off, and that's when I will talk through a few slides on the Inca Trail. Just check with Shayla when they're expecting to leave. How much longer is it going to be? Just check with her.
Okay, she's coming. Hold on.
Una hora tienes que cortar.
Okay.
No, porque ahorita van a esperar un tren que llegue, que venga la gente y suba. Ahorita no hay gente para subir.
Okay. Por lo menos una hora.
Por lo menos una hora.
All right. It's at least 1 hour, Candy, because what's happening, there's no people right now here going to Machu Picchu, and they're waiting for the first train coming from Cusco, right? They're waiting for the first train coming from Cusco, and that is the train is gonna be here in about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes, and then they're gonna wait for the people to get off the train and see if they want to go up to the citadel now. So at least 1 hour, Andy, right?
Yeah.
That I have to wait.
Right. Okay. I think Jose, so when you get up to the ruins, then I want you to send me a message on Facebook Messenger to say you're there.
Right.
So we'll let you go now. For those of you 264 households still on the call, we'll have a quick talk between you guys and myself and Sarah about the plan. I will stay on and give a talk about the Inca Trail for those of you who would like to stay on. So Jose, yeah, we'll let you and Shayla grab a coffee and wait for the bus. And if you can message me back later on, that'd be great.
Okay, Andy, and
Right.
I will, definitely I will. I'm here waiting, the bus is behind. I'm gonna go there. I actually not wearing my mascarilla. I will do it now. People start looking at me strangely, but I will do it now. I will see you up there when I get there. Okay. Thank you,
Great.
everybody.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Jose.
you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jose.
Right, we'll say goodbye to Jose there. it's going to be a little bit unpredictable, I think, judging when Jose is going to get up to the ruins. So, Sarah, what do you think? What we can do? I can talk through the Inca Trail now, and then later on we could have a guess at what time people might like to come back onto the webinar. I'd say probably 3:15 or something. Or alternatively, we could say to everybody, go off and enjoy your afternoon, and we will film a bit of coverage up at the ruins later, just me, you and Jose, and let people have a recording.
I think we could try and go for the live one. That's people
Okay.
what people are here for, because we can still provide people with the recording for people who can't stay.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that now.
Yeah.
Fine. Right, so my best guess, well, it's difficult. When you ask a Peruvian what time something's going to happen, you have to take the answer with a massive pinch of salt. So I'm trying to give my best guess at when Jose, I mean, the bus could depart any time. So, you know, we might be up there 3 o'clock. That's my best guess.
For those of you who aren't on UK time, that's an hour from now. So 55 minutes.
Okay. So anyway, let's have a look at where we are, because there's still a lot of people on the call. I'll go through the Inca Trail, and then we can all go off and make a cup of tea, and we'll keep an eye on things. And myself and Sarah are just going to be happy to sit here for the afternoon, do a few emails. And when Jose messages me, we'll hopefully show you the ruins. Does that sound okay? It's a bit ad hoc, this.
It's different from what we're anticipating, but yeah, let's go for it. Why not? Yeah.
Carolyn Woodley, will you email when it's live? Can we do that? Thinking on the hoof?
I don't know if I can. I don't know if we can let everyone know. Let me just check.
Right, while you do that, Sarah, I'm going to have a quick look at Google Maps and show everybody where we are.
I can. Yeah, I think I can.
Right, are you seeing the map now, Sarah?
Just hang on a second. Yeah, I think, Andy, to email everybody, I actually need the webinar to end for it to give me everyone's email addresses.
I'll tell you what, we will just carry on recording, and those that can sit around for the afternoon chatting with us can do so. Very welcome,
Yeah.
folks, to do that. Those that have left, we can just give the recording later. So you all know where I live now, Basingstoke. That's where my pin was. Sarah's just south of me, 13 miles south. So if I zoom out and head over to Peru, pretty much all international tourism in Peru starts in Lima, direct flights from the United States, Madrid, Amsterdam. You can get to Cusco as well from Bogota in Colombia, but most tourists start in Lima. And then I know from experience that it's an arduous 18-hour or so bus ride across the Andes from Lima to Cusco. So most people will fly. That's an hour's flight, hour and 20 minutes flight down to Cusco. And this is where Jose lives, the old Inca capital, one of the great ancient hubs of the travel world. And Machu Picchu is northwest of Cusco, up at Alante Tambo, and there's Aguas Calientes. I'm circling with my cursor there. And there's a train track linking the two. One of you, I think Mrs. Evans said in the comments, you were there a few years ago when there was a major landslide and the railway was cut off for a couple of the whole town was cut off for a couple of weeks. It's very difficult to access by road. Everybody, all the supplies, all the food for the hotels goes in by train. So this is where the Pueblo Hotel is here in Aguas Calientes. And if I just switch to satellite view there, Jose is currently taking the bus from Aguas Calientes along the road next to the Urubamba River. And then you go up this switchback road, this very, very steep road, up to the ruins themselves is the historical sanctuary. Those of you that have done that bus ride, I was interested chatting this through with Jose a couple of weeks ago. Do you remember that when you come down, little colourfully dressed Quechua-speaking boys race from one hairpin to the other, and they stop on the hairpin and give you a wave as the bus goes past, and then they wait to the bottom for a tip. And I was sat here, that practice has stopped now a few years ago, but I certainly have fond memories of that. And the Inca Trail is this, well, that's a short Inca Trail, the long Inca Trail. Here's a sun gate, the famous first view of the ruins you get at the end of the Inca Trail. Starts all the way back here at Pactayata. So that's a 28-mile trek from Pactayata all the way to the sun gate. So that's just the overview of where we are in central Peru. That's where Jose's been this morning. And I'll just take the next few minutes before giving you a break, just to go through a few slides. This is a whole long Peru tour I give, covering the coast and the Humboldt current ecosystem, the Amazon rainforest, and the core clay lake in Tambopata. But I just want to focus today on the Inca Trail for a few minutes. So here's an aerial view of Cusco, the old, as I say, Quechua capital of the Andes. That's the cathedral there, and in the centre, and the plaza, the central plaza. Quite high here, just over 10,000 feet, 10,200 feet or so. So we do have to be aware of altitude sickness, potential altitude sickness when we first arrive, particularly if we're coming up from sea level at Lima, or from the Amazon rainforest, which isn't far above sea level. So we have to take things very carefully on the first day when we arrive in Cusco. Do a gentle city tour, not racing anywhere, and steering clear of alcohol and caffeine is the best thing to do to combat potential altitude sickness. Here's a close-up of the cathedral in the Plaza de Armas, the central square in Cusco. Nice gentle walking tour, and I love this evocative panpipe music. If you go into a restaurant in Cusco, you'll be serenaded by these talented local bands who go around and sell their CDs. You can see some CDs in the briefcase at the bottom there. Lovely evocative panpipe music from the Andes.
Andy, we're just seeing the picture of the map.
Oh, right.
Are you trying to show the PowerPoint through your remote desktop?
No, I don't think so, no.
No, we're all just seeing the map.
Right, okay, thanks for flagging that.
Oh, there we go.
Is that now?
Yeah.
Right, apologies, folks. I can see 33 comments have piled in, probably from people saying, what's going on? I can't see anything. Do apologise. Back on track now. I was saying that this is a long presentation I do on Peru, covering the Humboldt current, the Amazon rainforest, and the core clay lake in Tambopata, all the Amazon rainforest wildlife covering our tour. But I just want to focus today on Cusco and the Inca Trail. So yeah, I was just showing you an aerial view of Cusco there. Is this coming across okay now, Sarah?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I thought the screen share function on Zoom would follow my action on my local computer, but clearly I have to share each window separately. Didn't realize that, but you learn every day. So that's an aerial view of Cusco, 10,000 feet up in the Andes, the central Plaza de Armas, the cathedral, the local panpipe music that I was telling you about when you go to lunch in Cusco. And just some city views from these narrow cobbled streets, thronged with Quechua-speaking descendants of the Incas. The old Quechua stonework evident in many places. The Quechuas were fantastic stonemasons, and these stone alleyways predate the Spanish conquest of the late 1500s. And it's withstood the test of time, centuries and various earthquakes, etc. Wonderful stonemasonry. Without modern tools, of course, and it's wonderful to stroll through the streets of Cusco and look at this. Just outside of Cusco, we have the ruins of Sacsayhuaman, which is on pretty much the circuits of all the town and city tours in Cusco. Some nice Andean birding up here, clear blue skies, and again, fantastic stonemasonry. So Sacsayhuaman will be in the tour of Cusco, and we'll also spend time out in the sacred valley of the Incas at Pisac. Here you can see the terraces used by the Incas to grow wheat and other cereals, still in quite good condition, and in many cases farmed, with the gushing Urubamba River down in the valley at the bottom there. It's looking down towards Machu Picchu from Pisac. Look at those wonderful old terraces with a river in the bottom of the valley there. Haunts of whitewater rafters, if you're keen rafter, great 5-star rapids here. But we're here to see some of the wonderful Andean bird life, Andean hill star. And a real special hummingbird, this one, the endemic bearded mountaineer. Endemic to Peru, and quite easy to see around the arid canyons in the mountains leading up from the ruins of Pisac. Some of the other birds we'll see in the vicinity: chestnut-breasted mountain finch, another Peruvian endemic. And this one's the world's largest hummingbird, the giant hummingbird, quite common in the arid inter-Andean valleys of the Andes. These are Quechua-speaking children, because Spanish is widely spoken in Peru, particularly in Lima, Cusco, and other big tourist areas. But once you get up into the central Andes and away from the tourism hubs, Quechua still is widely spoken. And these children, they live in quite difficult conditions. You can see some sunburn on the child's hand there, and big ruddy red cheeks. But dressed colourfully, and they seem to be in good spirits and always keen to see us and learn a bit about what we're doing. And in fact, here is a shot from about 2006, I think. It's one of our clients in the background. It's always nice to see groups of Peruvian school children out at sites like this, showing a keen interest, not just in their country's rich human heritage, and that's what the school parties will be doing, but also learning through us. If they approach us and want to engage, we'll tell them a bit about our aspirations as visiting naturalists and about some of the rich ecosystems that Peru has. This would have been 2006, I think, so that little girl there will be 20 plus now, and you might hope she's taken some interest in her country's wonderful natural heritage. Right, next few slides cover the Inca Trail. When I joined Naturetrek back in 1998, one of my first missions was to bring Peru into the fold. We hadn't offered anything in Peru up until that point, and having just spent a year in Peru and a year in Ecuador, I was bursting with ideas to bring to the door. And it's quite difficult for me to think, well, what highlights do I want to wrap up into a 2-week or 18-day tour? There's so many things to include. I could run out a tour of 3 months or more and still not cover everything that I've experienced in Peru. But having enjoyed one of the world's great treks over the Andes on the Inca Trail, I thought, I want to give Naturetrek clients the opportunity to hike this trail, because the history of Naturetrek back in the mid-80s was as a trekking company, hence the name, Naturetrek. Naturetrek's managing directors, David and Marianne Mills, set up the business in 1986, offering a number of Himalayan treks. That's where their passion lies. So I was keen to lay on the Inca Trail, and we had several fantastic years of operating this, and we still offer it now. Fewer people are up for the trek these days, so we also offer an alternative option, which is to go down to Cock of the Rock Lodge on the Manu Road, and everybody reconvenes at Machu Picchu. But for me, this is a wonderful trek. All of the hard work's done for us. The campsite management, the cooking, the new tent, pitching and taking down the tents, providing a hot tub of water for you to have a wash in the mornings and hot chocolate late at night. All of that's done for us by our magnificent team of porters. And all that's required of us is to walk from one magnificent old Incan ruin to the next, bird watching and enjoying our botanizing and photography on the route. So this is the starting point, first night's camp. We've done about 5 hours of walking today along the Urubamba River. We'll cross past the ruins there of Lactapata, and our tents, when we arrive at the campsite, will be all set up by our porters with a soup and popcorn on the stove, and we'll enjoy the sunset, hopefully with a condor overhead. And over the next 5 days, we walk an average of about 6 miles a day over mountainous terrain. It's like a strenuous day in the Lake District or Peak District or Welsh Mountains. So you need a certain degree of fitness to enjoy the trek. But we are enjoying some wonderful bird watching en route. Blue and yellow tanager. One of my favourite hummingbirds, a shining sunbeam. 2.5 days into the trek, we come to the highest point of the pass, just a fraction under 14,000 feet. This is back in the year 2000, the first ever Peru holiday that we did. Machu Picchu, where hopefully we'll be seeing Jose Antonio a little bit later, is just over that ridge around the back there. So we've still got 2.5 days walking to get to Machu Picchu. I remember well some of the clients on this trip, a couple of them into their 70s, on the right there, a good friend of mine. So you don't have to be a spring chicken to undertake the Inca Trail. If you're prepared to feel tired and dig deep at times and get hot and sweaty, then embark on the challenge. The only problem with Inca Trail is once you're on it, it's difficult to get off. So you can't, jump in a taxi and get a ride back down. Once you commit to it, you commit to it. It's difficult to get off. This pass here is called Dead Woman's Pass, but there's nothing sinister to the name there. It's just when you drop back down onto the northern side of the trail and look back over your shoulder to where you've come from, there's supposedly the outline of a woman lying on her back. The rocky ridge supposedly shows the outline of a woman, so that's where the name comes from. But we're in good spirits here, lovely weather, and we're enjoying some of the birding. We're up above the tree line here, but we'll shortly drop down into the threatened polylepis forest and start to hopefully encounter some of those famous mixed species feeding flocks, of which this bird is often associated, a puna thistletail, cryptic fernarid. And these are often the leaders of the mixed species feeding flocks, the scarlet-bellied mountain tanager, in a typical pose there in moss and epiphyte-laden cloud forest. If you hear these birds coming, there's often an entourage of several different species following on behind. So it can be worthwhile just keeping your ears pricked and then stake out one of these mixed species feeding flocks as they come through and past. As we drop down the mountainside towards Machu Picchu and into more subtropical areas, we'll be looking for different species like sword-billed hummingbird, the bird with the longest bill in relation to its body of any on Earth. And although we won't see these, mountain pumas are noted in the wider Machu Picchu historical sanctuary. So it really is away from the tourist trail and the citadel, an area of pristine Andean wilderness. This is the penultimate night's campsite, so night 4 of the trek, and we're in good spirits now, just the final walk down to Machu Picchu. You can see here, often this site has a cloud inversion in the morning, so the crew will quickly strike the camp and treat us to an alfresco breakfast as the cloud rises up from the valley floor. I've mentioned the porters before. They do a great job for us. They speak either none or rudimentary Spanish. There is a head porter and a cook. They will both speak Spanish, so they'll liaise with myself or the Naturetrek tour leader. But these guys, their fitness is incredible. They carry quite heavy backpacks, and each year there's a race along the Inca Trail between the Quechua-speaking porters and a team of international athletes. And we take 5 days, but these guys will do it in just over 3.5 hours. In these old rubber sandals as well. So yeah, they're fit guys and great companions for our 5 days on the trek. This is me, a client sent this to me just a couple of days ago. This is from 2002. And if you engage with them, they will be interested in the natural history and what we're all looking at through our binoculars. So just talking them through there, a few of the common birds that we will see along the Inca Trail. But basically, as I say, it's just walking through magnificent cloud forest from one stupendous Incan ruin to the next. This is Huayna Huayna on the way down to Machu Picchu. And that's the view back up the Urubamba to the Veronica Range. This is Nevada Veronica, 19,000 feet. And you can just see part of the short Inca Trail there, which comes up from the valley bottom. So magnificent Andean scenery all around. And then finally, we arrive at Machu Picchu itself, and fingers crossed, this is the view that Jose Antonio will be sharing with us a little bit later. On the Inca Trail, you've had 5 wonderful days trekking, and you're a bit smug, to be honest, at this point, because most of the day trippers have gone back to Cusco. It's a few people you can see dotted around the ruins there who will overnight at the Sanctuary Lodge or down in Aguas Calientes. And we're caked with dust and sweat at this stage, and there's a real sense of achievement, I think, if you arrive on foot rather than on the train from Cusco. This triangular peak behind is Huayna Picchu. If you have any energy left, you can actually climb that. It's easier than it looks. There's a kind of a path that goes in spiral fashion around the mountain, so you can get a different perspective of the ruins from up at Huayna Picchu. But the famous viewpoint is this one, of course. And to experience it late afternoon when the sun is sets and most day trippers have gone back to Cusco, and having gone through the arduous Inca Trail experience, it's a great experience to arrive like this. The ruins were first discovered in 1911 by the Western world, at least by Aaron Bingham. Here is Bingham outside his tent in 1912. He was an American archaeologist working out of Yale University, and he was tipped off to the presence of the Machu Picchu ruins by local peasant farmers. At that stage, the ruins were cloaked in forest. So it's quite a task to strip back the foliage to the ruins that you see today. This is a photo of Machu Picchu during Aaron Bingham's time in 1912. So you can certainly see the outline there, but you probably just make out it's quite grainy. There's quite a lot of clearance for Bingham and his team to do to create the tourism experience that we have today. And that's kind of the clean ruins that you see today. Peru's jewel in the crown. Most first-time visitors to Peru will go to Machu Picchu. We have a lot of repeat visitors to Peru on birding and wildlife itineraries, but however you go about your holidays and planning your holidays and what interests you when you travel, you surely can't get too many more stupendous sites than that around the world. And it's a big money spinner for Peru. It creates a lot of local employment, both in Cusco, Aguas Calientes, and draws visitors to Peru just generally. So a magnificent site. And just to finish off this, before we have a quick break, some of the birds we'll see around Aguas Calientes that Jose Antonio will see in the next day or so before he heads back home to Cusco. Torrent duck, probably the best place in the world to see. Torrent ducks along the Urubamba River next to Aguas Calientes. Here's the male, that's the female. It's amazing to see these ducks in grade 5 rapids, particularly if they have small fluffy chicks. Incredibly hostile environment, at least from our perspective, but these ducks are tremendously well adapted. And in the forest around Aguas Calientes, there's some really cracking habitat here. In the subtropical zone, we're looking for species like golden-headed quetzal, cock of the rock, which we had a fleeting glimpse of this morning. I hope you saw that. But here's a shot of the bird in focus, displaying one of its morning leks. Incidentally, I'd say the birding this morning compared to our other virtual tours was challenging. The bandwidth was poor and the light wasn't great. But if you enjoyed that and want to see some more hummingbirds and tanagers with us, I'd encourage you to join us in June when we're doing 2 virtual tours from Ecuador, from the Mindo area. And based on the virtual tours that we've done so far in that area, the morning or the 45 minutes or the hour we're with you will be absolutely full of hummingbirds and tanagers with good bandwidth and high resolution images. So do check out our website and sign up to those if you'd like to do more birding with us in South America virtually. A couple of you this morning asked about mammals in the area. Bolivian squirrel is around, and lots of hummingbirds. We only saw 1 or 2 this morning. You'll see a lot more in Ecuador if you come with us on that virtual tour in June. The sparkling violet ear, or sorry, green violet ear is common in this area. And also Gould Inca, which was split a little while ago from collared Inca, where the collar is a lot more white. And if you join us in Ecuador, you'll certainly see collared Inca. It's just another shot of Gould Inca. This is booted racket-tail. We had one very, very briefly this morning. I just caught it out of the corner of my eye, a female bird. One of my favorite birds of the cloud forest is, the name comes from, well, first of all, the boots. You see those, well, thigh boots there, aren't they cute? So that's where the booted racket-tail comes from. The racket-tail, well, these look like 2 long squash rackets or badminton rackets, don't they, protruding out the back of the bird with the rackets at the end. So yeah, a lovely bird of the cloud forest. And we see this commonly from Bolivia northwards, booted racket-tail. For those of you interested in wider natural history, the moths in this kind of habitat are magnificent. And if you have a naked street light or just a bulb outside your hotel room, and particularly if it's next to some white paintwork, you wake up in the morning and in certain habitats, the walls can be covered in the most glorious variety of moths of all shapes and colors. It really is incredible. And yeah, some of the birds around the gardens of the Pueblo Hotel in Machu Picchu: hepatic tanager, blue-hooded tanager, sorry, blue-necked tanager, which I think Jose saw himself this morning, but we couldn't get on camera. That's blue-necked tanager. A thick-billed euphonia, we certainly saw this morning. And this is saffron crown tanager, which we also saw this morning, but not with the same kind of depth of resolution and color. So that's the Inca Trail and the Cusco habitat in a nutshell. If any of you belong to natural history tour groups, RSPB local groups, and would like a full talk on Machu Picchu and Peru, happy to give this whole talk. Just contact me through the Naturetrek office. We do that free of charge for wildlife and natural history groups. Happy to do that. And thanks for listening. I will be checking my thing. I wondered if Sarah was still there. There she is.
I'm here, don't worry, Andy.
Thanks for sticking. I thought I was all alone there with 228 households to entertain for the next little while. So where are we now? So it's 2:30. I haven't had any lunch yet. So I think I'm going to go and make myself a cup of tea. And I will keep the webinar running, probably turn my camera off. Those 228 of you that are still with us, you're very welcome to sit around and do what Sarah and I are going to do and go off and make ourselves a cup of tea. And then I will be keeping my eye on my phone and on my screen and hope to be around back at 3 o'clock, but it might be a little bit after that. How does that sound, Sarah?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Maybe drop Jose a message now and see if you can get an update on whether he's actually on the bus or not. If it's a half-hour journey from when he's on it, then that'll give us some sort of idea. And we can, you know, either you or I can just come onto the onto the webinar here just to update people. If we know when he's on the bus, at least we can say come back in half an hour or so, which might be helpful. So
what should we do then? Touch base at 3 o'clock and give people an update there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Just take before I go off and put the kettle on. I'm just going to go through one or two of the comments here. Sheila Thomas, thanks. Given the horrid weather here, well, certainly still horrible here in Hampshire. This extended Zoom event has been a real treat. Sharon Toop, the cathedral in Cusco has a painting of the Last Supper featuring a guinea pig as dinner. And if you try guinea pig, cuy in Spanish, C-U-I, it's a delicacy. C-U-Y, so it's a delicacy in the Andes. I've never tried it myself. People say it's like chicken. Philippa Manville brings back memories. 2009, you were there. Great. Barbara Muston's with us. Barbara, you were on the first ever Naturetrek in 1986. Thank you for joining us today. Have you ever done the Inca Trail, though? I've never managed to get David and Marianne onto the Inca Trail. I think if your passion lies in one area of the world, then your passion is always for that area, and nothing else will ever match up. So I've never managed to persuade David and Marianne to go to Peru. But yes, Barbara, great. Good to have you with us today.
Got a nice comment from Hillary Green. Says she's tried guinea pig in Ecuador. It's like chicken, but smaller. Yeah, we do have a few questions, but if you're gasping for a cup of tea, Andy, we could answer those at 3 o'clock when you come back, if you like.
Okay, let's do that then. Yeah.
Okay, folks. Well, thanks for joining us and continuing to join us for our impromptu afternoon. It's been quite fun to have to think on our toes. We'll see you back here in 25 minutes. Go and get yourselves a cup of tea and some lunch, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, see you at 3 o'clock for an update.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you've all got a cup of tea. Thank you, Tony, for your recommendation of the Panama webcam. I think the one at Canopy Lodge, it's one of the ones that we have on our website. We've got a series of webcams on our webcam page, which I could share in the chat, actually, if people are interested. People absolutely love it. They do get quite addictive, though. They come with a warning. How's Jose getting on, Andy?
Yeah, as far as I know, he's arrived up at the ruins a few minutes ago. So I'm just waiting for him to rejoin. Looks like he's rejoining now. Jose,
Andy,
good to see
how
you
are you?
again. You survived the
Thank
bus
you.
ride up.
Yes, I did. And actually, I already halfway up to see the citadel. So I took advantage of that, of those few minutes. So
You took advantage because when we did the trial, you were so unfit that you were massively out of breath. So that's why you've stolen a march, isn't it?
that's right. That is right. Yeah, you remember that I was out of breath that day. So that's why I'm already halfway up. So that's good. Look at this. So is everybody back on track, Andy, or shall
Yeah,
we?
we've had a few people have to go off to pick grandchildren up from school and to go back to work, but we've still got 190 households on who have, like me and Sarah, gone off and made a cup of tea and looking forward to being back with you. Well, what have you, Jose, what weather we've got? Wonderful.
Okay, everybody. Hi again. I am halfway up to see one of the new seven wonders of the world, Machu Picchu. And first of all, I would like to show you where we are now. Well, here's Shayla. Shayla coming with me all the way up here. And but look at the mountains around. And the reason why I'm here, because I want to show you way back there where my finger is pointed. So you can see like a little depression in the mountain. Way up there, that is the Intipunco, what we call the sun's door, no, the door of the sun. Intipunco is the name of that place, which is basically the entrance of the citadel when we do the Inca Trail. After 5 days of walking, for the people who never been here before, we do the last few hours on the Inca Trail behind that mountain there, and then we walk up, very close to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then there is where we have the first view of the citadel on the Inca Trail. And then we walk all the way down here, and we actually come this way, everybody. And Sungate, exactly. Sorry. Intipunco Sungate, the door of the sun, no sun door. And here, well, you see a couple of tourists walking up, and when you say hello, oh yeah. And here is part of the Inca Trail that comes all the way down into the citadel, right? There you go. Well, what I'm doing is I'm gonna take you guys into the best spot to see the citadel, right? Here on this part of the sanctuary, we have some Andean terraces, as you can see here on the left, that were used back in the time, as agriculture terraces. Because remember, the terraces back in the Inca times were built for two reasons: to spread more of the crops and agriculture activities up in the mountains, but also to sustain and retain, some of the landslides, and rock slides that people can have here in this part of the Andes. Remember, we're still in cloud forest. We have come up about 400 more meters. That means here in Machu Picchu, we're about 2,800 meters in elevation, a little bit more than 7,000 feet. Here is this terraces area, the area that was first studied by Hiram Bingham. Hiram Bingham, maybe you all know, was a person that 1911, more than 100 years ago, discover and show Machu Picchu to the world. No? Well, Machu Picchu was already, in fact, known by some local people. In fact, there were some of the local people living in Machu Picchu during the time, but they have no idea what they were living on. But it was not until 1911 when Heidenbringen, who was a Yale University professor that came to South America, first in 1909, to do like a speech, like a conference in Chile, Santiago. And later on, 2 years later, in 1911, he came back to South America, came to Peru to actually look for the old Inca city that was supposed to be hidden somewhere in this part of the Andes, right? And we are, as you know, in Cusco region, which is the southern eastern part of the country. And you can see in front, exactly. And that's the good thing about Machu Picchu that was hiding and it was never found by the Spanish. And when Heidenbringen first found and saw this place, was all covered with vegetation, all covered with, you know, a bamboo and trees. Okay, there we go. Buenos días. Here is, you can see the mountain back in there. Is what we call Huayna Picchu, everybody. Hola. My Huayna Picchu is another Quechua word, which means the new mountains. Remember, a lot of these names we have here were put after Quechua words, no? And Huayna Picchu means new mountains, whereas Machu Picchu, yeah, which is the mountain behind means old mountain. That's basically the meaning of this. All right. If you wait a few more seconds, everybody, you will have the best. There we go. And here is Machu Picchu coming up, everybody. A stunning view of the citadel there. Okay.
Be our most ambitious VT yet, Jose, and this is absolutely breathtaking that we've managed to make this work. This is just incredible.
There you go, everybody. Yes. Well, as you can see, not many people around, which is very amazing. This is the second time I am here in Machu Picchu during this pandemic, because the first time I was here was like a month ago when we did this trial, you remember, and this is the second time. And yes, the weather is fantastic. And as you can see back there, is the mountain, with the very famous mountain, Huayna Picchu. And down there is the citadel, the citadel of Machu Picchu. And yes, we're so lucky with the weather, so lucky with everything. Still, you can see some people, but there we go. I'm coming down a little bit more. See?
Right. That's wonderful, Jose. Well done for getting up there. I actually feel quite emotional watching this because it brings back so many memories for me of traveling to Machu Picchu. And I know a lot of you in the comments are saying the same thing, and also people planning to go there in the future. But as Sarah said, when we first thought about the idea of doing these virtual tours earlier on this year, never did I expect to be broadcasting live from Machu Picchu. Great effort, Jose. We're all so much appreciating this.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. And here is, well, fantastic day. And so 2 days ago, we had the news of spectacled bears walking on, the citadel here, right in the middle of the citadel. And that's the kind of things you get to see here when you come to these places, you know, imagine a spectacle there that has been elusive for me all my life. To see here, no, in Machu Picchu, well, I guess it's because of the lack of people in these days because of the pandemic, obviously. But there you go. This is the kind of things you get to see here sometimes. I'm not saying we will, but anyway. So in Peru, we want to thank everybody with this beautiful view of Machu Picchu, and you know, not only me, but also the people who have been helping me here behind the scenes, like Marco from the Eco Center at Inkaterra, and Sheila as well, my partner. And we did this possible. No, it was very difficult, but we did it. No, and there we go, everybody. I don't know if there are questions, Andy. Let me know, please.
Yeah, what I'd like you to do, Jose, is just pan out a little bit and just just focus out a little bit and just give us a panoramic view from left to right, and then just keep the camera on the ruins, and we'll just chat through some of the questions that have come in.
All right, excellent. So yes, we are in the best. We're in one of the best lookout points of Machu Picchu. But here, for example, on the left, we can see part of the chain of mountains, of Vilcabamba chain of mountains. And this is in fact the way of Heidenbringen. As I was saying, Heidenbringen was actually looking for Vilcabamba stronghold or Inca stronghold. And he had to come this way in order to find it. But on the way, he met this couple of local children who talking about the existence of this very old, hidden Inca place, and paying $1 only. Imagine everybody paying $1 to this little kid. The kid brought him up to the top of the mountain, and he actually found this place, as I said, all covered with vegetation. And finally, 2 years later, he brought a Yale University expedition and National Geographic expedition here. And with the help of the Peruvian government, he actually cleared up the whole area, and he was able to see all this, right? So there's a lot of restrictions about visiting Machu Picchu now. For example, I was using a stick, but one of the guards told me not to use it anymore. I really don't understand why, but anyways, I'm using my hands at the moment. That's why it's a little bit shaky, but it's still good, I guess. So as we're approaching down, you can see some of the tourists that are visiting Machu Picchu here. And of course, as tourists coming back, we're going to start getting more and more tourists here, in Machu Picchu, which, as I said, is probably the most visited, place in South America. Elected as one of the new 7 wonders of the world back in 2007. Machu Picchu belongs to the Inca Empire, everybody. I don't know if you all know, but here in Peru, before the Spanish king and conquer, the Incas, we have a lot of Colombian cultures. Peru is a country full of cultures and history. So they all come to an end, in the 15th century when we have an empire called the Inca Empire. The empire didn't last for a long time. It only lasted for about 150 years. And during this time, we only have 14 kings or emperors ruling the empire. It was not until the 8th emperor or king called Pachacútec that Machu Picchu was built. We're talking about more or less the year of 1435, and Machu Picchu took more than 30 years or so, 70 years to be built. And it wasn't a city, really. It was really, a religious center, all right? Religious center. And it was here in the cloud forest heading the east of the Andes, because one of Pachacútec's goal back in the time was to be able to conquer the jungle, the Amazon rainforest. The Incas were never conquered the jungle. As you No, the Incas Empire only covered the coasts of Peru and the Andes. And but they never went down to the Amazon rainforest. We do know now, for example, that Incas main diet consisted of a lot of coca leaf. The coca leaf was very important because it was a sacred plant, and the coca leaf only grows down, you know, at the bottom of the mountains in areas that are really wet and humid. So in the Andes, in Cusco, for example, which was like the center and the capital of the Inca Empire, you will never get things like coca leaf or coca plants. So we do know now that there was a lot of exchange, no, a change of the crops between Andean crops and the jungle or Amazon crops, including, of course, coca that grows down below in elevation, right? So here we're walking into these beautiful terraces. Machu Picchu is on my left. And inside Machu Picchu here, there's a lot of buildings, I will say, including the Inca House, the Temple of the Sun, the Temple of the Moon, the Temple of the Condor as well, right? All in here. So which means that it was, of course, a religious center, only inhabited by princes, priests, no, who came up here to be closer to the gods, and also for the Inca to be closer to the Amazon rainforest, and why not to try to conquer the jungle. So for reasons that we still don't know, everybody abandoned Machu Picchu at some point, right? But that was before the Spanish arrived in here. I mean, the Spanish had already conquered the Inca Empire. They have already, came to Cusco, and they were already coming to this place, and everybody left Machu Picchu. But the Spanish, fortunately, was never able to find this place, back in the time. So that's why Machu Picchu remained the way it is at the moment. Right? So
Fantastic. What a setting. Phil Bagnon asks, is it open or only from the outside? If you wanted to, Jose, I'm pretty sure you can just go down and walk through the ruins. It's all open. You're in the historical sanctuary now. You've gone through the ticket inspection site and you're in there, aren't you? You can walk down and go around if you wanted to.
Yeah, I do one. I don't know if we have time. That's the thing. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, and just a question on the numbers of people. One or two people have asked, who is it here? Des Langford, how do they monitor and control numbers? Because in normal times, the travel industry would have referred to Machu Picchu as a bit of a victim of over-tourism, just too many visitors. But I think the Peruvian authorities got a grip of that situation, didn't they, a few years ago? So now they cap the numbers that are both allowed on the Inca Trail and the numbers of people that actually go into the historical sanctuary on a daily basis.
Right. In no pandemic times, Andy, the government was releasing 2,500 tickets in a day or per day. No, and 500 people to do the Inca Trail.
Yeah.
Right. So that is in a non-pandemic. No, pero ahorita, okay, now it's just information we had from the guard. They made only 1,000 tickets a day, no, for people coming to Machu Picchu. Hello?
Yeah, still there.
All right. So that answer the question or not?
Yes, it does, Jose. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
You can hear Jose speaking in Spanish there. The thing with Machu Picchu is the authorities are not keen on people walking around with selfie sticks and particularly making videos to sell. And you can understand the Peruvians being quite protective of Machu Picchu in that sense, but we just got to be a bit careful, and Jose can't be too obvious with a great big gimbal or selfie stick.
Exactly. So they already asked me to put that away. So I use it in my hands, as I say. And but I think it's very stable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So Machu Picchu was divided in two areas, right? Like you can see maybe like a big long line down this way. So everything to the right over here, it was an area for agriculture, where people found mainly maize remains or corn, right over here to the right. And the area from that big crack to the left is the ceremonial area, right? So we're coming in now. According to the studies, Machu Picchu, as I say, was not a big city. It was only a religious center mainly. And there were only a few people living here, no more than 500 people, right? And obviously, Machu Picchu, as I say, was here for religious reasons, maybe for the queen, for the king, to try to conquer the jungle. But that comes, I mean, Machu Picchu is at the end of the whole Inca Trail, no? During the times of the Incas, they used to and were better safe using the mountains to move. And they make this huge network of trails in whole South America, more than 30,000 of trail system. No, 30,000 kilometers of trail system have been found all over. And the empire went all the way up to what is now Colombia, right? Passing through Ecuador and all the way down to what is now Argentina, okay? So it was a big empire, but only covered the western part of the continent of South America. What is now Brazil, they never went down this way, no? So, and as you walk through the Inca Trail, so for people who've done it before, you go and pass through all these different archaeological sites, you know? And it's like building up and building up to what you are going to see at the end, which is obviously Machu Picchu. So when you do the Inca Trail, it's not just walking and walking and walking. Maybe Andy have told you already. Doing the Inca Trail, you go pass through all these nice archaeological sites, which are mainly, you know, religious centers for the Inca during the time. And finally, you get to see Machu Picchu from the Inti Punco, from the Sun Gate, and you come here, no? So it was a long journey. Huh? So it was a long journey for the people in that time, but they did prefer the mountains, though, as opposed to the valleys, you know, down there. For me, for example, it's much easier to walk down in the valley, you know, and not walk up in the mountains, because the valley is lower in elevation and it's obviously easier, right? So the valley and the river were used by the military people back in the time, and because they were closer to the crowd. But the mountains, right, that you can see way here, were used by the elite, no, by the Inca itself and all these people surround him, no, because as higher they were higher to the gods, no, like the sun, like the moon, like the stars, and all that stuff, you know. So let's wait for these people here to finish with the pictures in order to go through this nice door, which is basically, you know, the main entrance into the citadel. Now here's the very long sort of like a crack that divides Machu Picchu in two parts. And to the right, yeah, and to the right you see some llamas. Here is the nice, very kind lady here. But let me go through. Gracias. Here we go. We are already inside the ruins. Oh, well, sorry, no ruins. The citadel. And yep.
Oh, so Alison Ragg asks if the local people are descended from the Incas.
Well, I wouldn't say 100%, not really, because we have so much mixture from Spanish that came here, and you know, we're in Peru more than 500 years. So I think we all now more of a, what we say, criollos, right? Which is a mixture between Andean people and Spanish. So like myself, no, I'm very tall for being Peruvian, you know, I am, and usually Andean people are very short, people are small, because they actually develop their lands 30% bigger than people who are not from the Andes, you know? So here we go, closer to Machu Picchu now. There we go. So here is a nice place because we can see to the left where I'm pointing, a lot of boulders and big stones and all that. And that means that Machu Picchu was left and abandoned, but was never finished, you know? And they left all these big boulders here just unattended. And so, you know, and you're wondering about the way how the big stones were brought here to Machu Picchu, where they didn't have to bring it from big far distance, you know. The stones and the boulders they used, which is in fact black granite, were all found here at the top of these mountains. So they didn't have to bring it from far distance, all right? And here is like the place where the stones and the boulders were actually found and at some point were left unattended. All right, I'm gonna keep going downstairs. Now Machu Picchu is different even for tourism reasons. I mean, there's only one circuit and there's not like before where you can go anywhere you wanted and where you can eat or you can have a drink or some water. Now all these things are not allowed to be done. You have to follow this one circuit and you can't really spend much time on any of the attractions, you know, as you're walking through. The visit have to be very fast and you have to keep moving also a lot. If you stay more than a couple of minutes or 3 minutes in one place, the guards here will ask you to keep moving. So another interesting thing that you see sometimes around the stones and big boulders is the Peruvian Andean biscacha, which is like a chinchilla. It's another nice mammal we look for when we're walking in Machu Picchu, because some people was asking about mammals here, right? When I was down at Pueblo Hotel, Incaterra Pueblo. Well, the biscacha is one of the mammals you can actually get to see here, especially a little bit earlier. You know, here we go. Look at the size of this big mountain, this big boulder. Also here on the left, as I said, no, that was actually here where they get the boulders and the stone from. We keep moving and walking.
Just tell us a little bit, Jose, about the impact of COVID on the tourism industry around Cusco and Machu Picchu. I know you've got lots of friends and colleagues who work in tourism. It's a major generator of employment in the area. What has COVID meant to people working in tourism in Peru?
Well, especially in Cusco, and you know, Cusco's main activity, which is the place where I live in, the city where I live in, is tourism, no, in all sense. In Cusco, obviously, the most important touristic activity, of course, is coming to see Machu Picchu. And but then also Cusco is, for example, the main gate to places like Manu National Park and also the Amazon rainforest, because we're in the southeastern part of Peru. So Cusco used to get more than maybe 4 or 5 million of tourists every year. And during this pandemic, more than, I would say, 40% of the business related or connected to tourism were closed and disappeared. And for very much the whole year, Machu Picchu was closed. I think the first colleagues and people that were coming here was in November last year, you know, to see how things were going here. The three temples, the three windows temple here in front of us. And so yes, a lot of my friends and colleagues have to change, you know, the activity. A lot of my friends are now, for example, selling products. They have opened up these little shops as well. And people have definitely some of them decided to do something else, no, and maybe become businessmen, no, open up their own little business. Not many people are working in tourism now, especially the people who have families and children and all that, no, that need obviously the money from this activity. I was very lucky that to actually stay in the business and organize and working with the local government, no, some activities in terms of tourism in order to reactivate the activity in Cusco, but from my house basically, no. And it's just now that I doing this, well, the little tours, virtual tours, and working with local tourists, no. I mean, the government is trying to get, I mean, bring back the activity tourism, first of all, with local people, with Peruvians. And Machu Picchu is beautiful for everybody, right? But I mean, going to places like the jungle or the forest, sometimes local people don't want it or don't like it anyways. So yeah, we're hoping that maybe for October, September, things are getting a little bit back to normal, no?
I'll just take a question from Steve Fowles. If someone feels ill through altitude sickness en route, how are they taken back? I think, Steve, you're referring to my earlier slides there on the Inca Trail. I mentioned that it's quite difficult to get off the trail. Once you're on it, you're committed. So what a responsible tour operator will do is to give you 2 or 3 days of acclimatization in Cusco before you start the Inca Trail, because the first day on the Inca Trail is actually lower than Cusco. So the idea is if you acclimatize and feel well in Cusco, then you're very unlikely to be unable to complete the Inca Trail. Whereas if you feel really bad in Cusco and you succumb to quite severe altitude sickness, it's obviously sensible not to even start. And this is what happens each year when we take groups and other tour operators put groups on the Inca Trail. You tend to hold up in Cusco for 2 or 3 days, do some gentle tourism. And if anybody feels really under the weather, different hotel arrangements could be made and they can bail out of the Inca Trail before they start. Obviously, you can get off the Inca Trail with a mountain rescue party and a stretcher if you fall over and break a leg. But the idea is if you're likely to succumb to altitude sickness, you don't even start it. That's the approach we take.
That's right. That's right. Luckily, I never had a problem, big problems with high altitude sickness. Couple of times people got sick in Cusco though, and in Cusco we have all the facilities and we can always call the doctor. We use and work with some private doctors, that we can call them at any time of the day. And they will come to the hotel, no, and check up, no, the client and just give him a rest, no. But luckily, I never really had a big problem with that. Only one time on the second day of the Inca Trail, a person felt like couldn't do it. So and talked to me and said, Jose, I need to go back. Ne? So I arranged a horse, couple of porters, and she went back to Cusco and she met us at the end at the Inkaterra Pueblo Hotel. Eh? So that was only one time, but we have a lot of people always helping us. We work with porters, local guides. You know, we are ready for everything. This is a fantastic piece of stone, which is what we call Intihuatana, or the sun dial, which is like a natural clock. And the reflection of the shadow move according to the time of the day and the time of the year. You know, so they can predict what time of, you know, what season we are at the moment, just by looking at the reflection of the stone on the shadow. Intihuatana, that's the local name in Quechua, or sundial. no? So we move here, permiso, buenas.
Claire, you're quite
Jose,
right. Yeah, most of the good hotels in Cusco now will have oxygen on tap in case anybody's struggling. Phil Bigler, what nationality are the tourists? We asked Jose this question earlier on down in the Pueblo Hotel. There's a mixture of South Americans, Argentinians, Brazilians, Chileans, a few domestic tourists, and a sprinkling of visitors from the United States. And
Yes.
no Europeans, I don't think. Jose, have you seen any Europeans today?
No, not at all. Not at this time of the year. No, no Europeans yet. Yep. So
it's a lovely sunny morning there, Jose. It's just gone 9:30 for you in the morning over there. What temperature is it like?
I would say it's about 20 degrees Celsius, more or less. Maybe 22. I don't know how much what that is in Fahrenheit.
That's
What
okay. I
is-
think
It's
most
like
viewers will
80.
know.
Maybe 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
Jose, if you can just climb up Huayna Picchu for us and trying to find an Inca Ren on top, that would be great.
So everybody, look at the mountain that is in front of me. That is the Huayna Picchu. As like Andy mentioned, there is also a possibility to climb the Huayna Picchu mountain all the way to the top. The sanctuary of Machu Picchu keeps going even to the other side, no, of this mountain. I would say on the eastern side of that mountain, where you can get to see things like the Temple of the Moon, for example. No, but obviously not many people do that because people like to stay in the main area. Yeah, and apparently, well, I've done a couple of times really to go all the way up to Huayna Picchu, and it took me about 45 minutes, no? 45 minutes, although some people said that they can do it in 15 minutes, right? 15 minutos dicen, ¿no? Hasta ya algunos. Los de acá, pues los locales. 30 minutos, well, let's say 30 minutes. So I would say 45 minutes, and for some people it would probably be 1 hour or more, né? So, yep.
I remember climbing Huayna Picchu in 1996 when I first did the Inca Trail, and back then you didn't need a permit to climb it, you just did it on a whim. But nowadays you need to buy a separate entrance ticket to climb that pinnacle behind Machu Picchu. And I said earlier during my talk, it's not as hard as it looks. It looks like a rock climb, but it's just a stone staircase, basically. Coca tea, a few of you mentioned coca tea. It's one of those things with a love or hate.
Yeah.
I personally don't like the taste of it, but I found personally it does work to combat the symptoms of altitude sickness.
Yes, well, coca plant is a plant that grows a lot in Peru, especially in the jungle areas and the cloud forest too, because a plant that needs a lot of humidity. And it was used, you know, from the Inca times. And back in the Inca times, it was a sacred plant, right? It was only consumed by the emperors, the elite, and all that. So when the Spanish came and conquered the Incas, they realized, you know, all the effects of the coca leaf, which are basically the coca leaf will have the effect of increasing your energy and decreasing your hunger. So in that way, you can spend many, many hours working, no, without the need of eating anything. So it was in that moment when the Spanish realized about that they decided to, you know, make the whole population consume the coca leaf. And it became very popular by everybody, no? Living in the Andes, not just the elite or not just the kings, no? For everybody started, you know, chewing coca leaf back in the time. And nowadays, it's all well controlled by the government. I mean, coca production, coca plantations, but it's very important part of our culture. No, we do chew coca leaf and we do drink it in tea. And I have very much the same effects, you know, that back in there. And now when people come to a high altitude city for the first time, the first thing we do is giving them or welcome the people with a nice coca tea. You know, by drinking coca tea and a lot of water, you can, you know, avoid some of the effects of the high altitude sickness. Yeah? So that's what we do. And if you are more brave, I will say, no, you can even choose some coca leaf, and you will feel how your tongue goes numb, and you can actually feel a little bit of the effect, no, of
the porters
when
that when you were on the bus, Jose, I showed the folks some pictures of the Inca Trail porters, and a lot of those guys will chew coca leaves, won't they? Can you just pause there and show us the view up to the sun gate? Just turn around and show people where the Inca Trail emerges again.
Yeah, the sun gate is way up there. There it is. I zooming my phone, and you can see way back in there. That's the sun gate. I pointed out when I first started the second transmission, Andy. But there it is. Can you see it?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's keep walking. So. Buenos días, buenos días. A ver, are there more questions? I think Shayla is pointing out more questions that I haven't answered.
Roger Horner's asking what Machu Picchu means. I think it's a Quechua term. I can't remember. Do you know what it means, Jose?
Yeah. I also said that earlier. Machu Picchu means old mountain.
Old mountain, yeah.
Correct. Whereas Huayna Picchu, which is this big mountain you always see it in the postcards, means new mountain. So we have new mountain and old mountain. Eh? So the thing is that the real name for this place, we don't know, right? Machu Picchu was a name given to this place back in 1911 when it was first discovered by Hiram Brink. No, but the real name for this beautiful site, we don't know, because as I said, it was never found by Spanish, and there are no Spanish chronicles for this place. No, so. But anyways, I like Machu Picchu as a name. Here, for example, you can see some type of terraces, and some archaeologists have studied this particular area here in Machu Picchu, and they have found some coca leaf remains, which means even though this is a little bit too high for coca plantation, the Inca were trying some coca crops up this high, all right? So it was like a laboratory for agriculture and for new crops up this way. Remember, this place, we are here 2,400 meters in elevation, right? Well, at this point, to be more specific, it's 2,500 meters, which is like 8,000 feet. No, so it's very wet because we are in cloud forest, right? But that's why the Incas were trying to do those sort of crops in here, in this particular area. All right, so in front of us, we see some big patch of bamboo. I haven't heard the Inca Ring yet. Maybe it's very hot at the moment. It's actually maybe hitting, but we keep walking. There we go. Now here you can see the signs, one way only. There you go. In the past, you can, walk back and forth, using the same path, but you can't anymore. No, here we have a sacred rock. I'm going to show you in a minute. There we go. Dime. Is the coca at all addictive? That's a good question. Buenos dias. Okay, so the coca leaf as a plant is not addictive, so you know. All right. What it makes it addictive is all the bad things that they mix with coca leaf to make cocaine. All right. So you know, to make 1 kilogram of cocaine, you need more than 400, maybe 500 kilograms of coca leaf. What we do consume here in the Andes of Peru and Bolivia are just a little amount of coca leaf, no more than 1 pound, for instance, of coca leaf, and that is never going to be that addictive. No, you only feel a little bit of, you know, like your tongue going numb, no, or you will feel probably a little bit with more energy, but never think that that is addictive. Okay. Is there any other question? Let's see. How do they enter in normal times? How do they control number intensity? Okay, by making the tickets. No, the local people descending from the Incas. Yeah,
we've answered all those questions, Jose. Don't worry. I've been putting those over to you. I think
okay,
I'd like to. There's someone meditating with the sun there. People do get quite emotional and spiritual at Machu Picchu. Jose,
yes.
This has been fantastic. It's surpassed my expectations. So I was worried that we wouldn't have the signal up here, and I was worried the weather would be poor. But I think from looking at the comments, everybody has thoroughly enjoyed their time with you. That's the entrance gate to Huayna Picchu there, I think. I'd like to thank you and Shayla for your time and efforts, Jose. You've had a really appreciative audience today, scattered around the world when we can't travel. Is Shayla going to come in and say hello to us?
Yes, Shayla.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been a real treat to spend a couple of hours with you today. I think we will leave you in peace now. Unless anyone has any last-minute questions, we're going to leave you in peace to enjoy the rest of your day in the sunshine. You too. I know you've got small children to get back to in Cusco as well, Jose. For those of you that are watching, we'll follow up with an email later this afternoon with the birds we've seen today. And on behalf of myself and Sarah and everybody watching, Jose, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed it too.
Yes, Andy. Yes, it was very nice. Everything is new for us too. You know, I apologize. It had been some sort of problems with the connection at the beginning, but you know how things are. And I hope you guys to see you here in Peru soon. We're here ready to start, you know, leading you with all this nice scenery in Peru, watching all the birds we have. And anyway, so we're here waiting. Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you very much, Sarah, as well. And everybody has joined me today.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. As Andy said, you know, the weather could have been cloudy, could have been shrouded in mist, could have had poor connection, but we've just had a stunning walk up there. And for people who haven't ever seen more of Machu Picchu than beyond the photograph, the classic postcard photograph, this was just a truly immersive experience into that. So it's really been incredible. Folks, as Andy just said, I'll send an email round shortly after this with a bird list and a donation, a tip link. If you have enjoyed this afternoon, which I hope you have, we'll be really grateful if you would like to leave a donation. Jose's done a really hard morning's work for us beyond the usual 1 hour that we ask of our guides, and he and his family have stayed overnight in the hotel where we started from so they could be ready and positioned to go this morning, and he's had his bus fare to get up there, and we've definitely given him a bit of a workout getting him to run up to the ruins for us. So if you can donate anything, it'd be really, really appreciated. And we hope to see you at the next virtual tour, which will be in Greece on Monday at 9 o'clock.
And just finally for me, I'd like to say thanks to the Inkaterra group, the Inkaterra Pueblo Hotel, kindly accommodated Jose and his family last night. So they're keen to see us engage with our audience, and obviously they'd love to welcome you at some stage in the future. Just one final tip from me, I think, if you ever do plan to visit Machu Picchu in the future, I'm sure Jose would back me up on this. Don't do a rush day trip from Cusco. It's packed, so the trainers are busy, and you get back to Cusco exhausted in the evening. Make a night of it at Aguas Calientes and enjoy some of the wonderful birding along the river in between your visit to the ruin. Jose, Antonio, muchas gracias. Nos vemos pronto.
Gracias, Andy. Thank you very much, everybody. Sarah, bye.
Adios.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.